Always a humbling experience to be in front of the futures of this country. I am thoroughly pleased and humbled by being given an opportunity to speak to you about my experiences as well as the experiences of some of the pioneers in their own fields, and how those ideas which I am going to present can help you in planning your future. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here basically because I believe that our youth, which is the future of this country, if they decide to take the reins and improve the situation which is deteriorating instead of improving, then we can bring this country to the top of the world. Because I sincerely believe that Indian people are some of the smartest people around the world. And they have proven that not only in India after the liberalization, but also in the United States, UK, Canada, and many other countries. So my idea is, as Sahil Dehanvi said, दुनिया ने तजुर्बातों हवादिश की शक्ल में जो कुछ मुझे दिया है लौटा रहा हूँ मैं. So I am going to present to you what we do, what some of the great people have done, and how you can plan yourself. Let me see now, where is he? Actually was in Yemen. I read an article in Time magazine, which I haven't seen anywhere else. What it said was, he went to Yemen as a porter, and he used to melt the coins which had more silver than the face value of the coin. That was one of the things he was doing on the side. I don't know whether it is authentic or not, but I read it in Time magazine, which has some credibility. And he used to, when the currency, the coin started disappearing, the government started looking what is happening. He collected all his money and came to Mumbai. And in Mumbai, he actually started a company. What they were doing was sending spices to Yemen and bringing yarn from there. So this company was started by himself and his first cousin or second cousin, which was Champaklal. And polyester yarn was coming here and spices going there. After a little while, they fell apart. Both they had different philosophy of doing business. Champaklal was very cautious, and Dhirubhai was go-getter. So they decided to break. So then Dhirubhai started Reliance, and that was in 1966. By 2012, they had 85,000 employees, and according to the information I read, they contribute 5% of the central government total tax revenue. I don't know whether it's true or not, but that's what it stated. Created a company. The family value is about $60 billion. Now $1 billion is about 6,000 crores. So you can imagine how much wealth is there. That makes him the second richest. And what are the secrets, how he was able to achieve it? One of the things he used to do was gather as much information as possible about everything he could see. This could be government, it could be the competition, other companies, products, And not only collect information, but then analyze it and get some inferences out of it. And then take action on those inferences, that how I can use that information. I never knew that till I read this whole thing. It is amazing how powerful that particular aspect was. The second was find an opportunity. So he was always looking around where the opportunity is and analyze that information to identify the opportunity. His belief was there is no invitation to make profits, you got to look for it. Third one was jump from one orbit to other. Get to this orbit, perfect yourself, and when you are fully confident, don't stay there. Jump to the next orbit and keep moving. But make sure that you feel fully comfortable in the orbit you are in. Now that is itself a very powerful message. Then this is one of the fundamental problems in most countries, project schedules. If you plan a project, plan in such a way that it is completed on time. Not only it is because of the budgets, not only it is because of your reputation, not only because of the utility of your result, your image is very much dependent on it. So these messages, it's too sad people have to go from this world, but then you feel happy that when their message is carried by the future generations. For example, of Mukesh and Anil, they have learned these lessons very well. And I know when the refinery was made, it was on time, on schedule, and it is one of the finest in the world. And that is a big tribute to Dhirubhai, that he instilled that into his son, where Mukesh could do it. Number 5, think global and think big. Now, don't restrict yourself in one area. You think globally, where else can I take advantage? And he was one of the first ones who was truly the true believer of globalization in India. And when things opened up in 1990s, he was able to take tremendous benefit from that. He made world-class projects. He made world-class factories. Hire best people and pay them the best, because they are the ones who will take you where you want to go. So hire best people was his philosophy. Some of my own friends worked for him, and they were very, very good people. And so that carried him very far. Only those top-ranking masters could make it possible that your dream comes true. Pay your shareholders well. Not only in India, in most countries, banks are very conservative. They will give you $1, you have to give them a collateral for that $1. Now, how do you build a business when you don't have that money? And he was the person who was able to create this empire on other people's money. He didn't have, so he was able to end all these shares because he paid his shareholders very well. On top of paying just the dividend, he also paid bonuses and things like that. And that created such a confidence in his company and in himself that people used to oversubscribe. They would love to buy shares of Reliance Enterprises. As I said, the second one paid big bonuses, gave rights issue. One of the very important thing is he once he converted a non-convertible debenture into shares, and that was illegal. So the case went to the court, and he fought very strongly and won. And that changed the history, because now something which was not allowed, you were able to do. Bombay Stock Exchange owes quite a bit to him. Its strength started from there. Now, obviously, we have another big conglomerate, which is the Tatas. But Tatas have been built over generations. So, the first one, Jamshedji Tata, from 1887 to 1904 as the chairman. And one of the most respected, J.R.D. Tata. He was also a great visionary. I remember the story that before independence, when Homi Jahangir Bhabha, who was working with Einstein, he came back from Princeton and he suggested to J.R.D. Tata that we need nuclear energy here. And J.R.D. Tata agreed to it. And he started Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. I actually worked for Tata Institute of Fundamental Research for 1.5 years, 68 to 69. And it is a top-class institute. And from there grew the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So the complete atomic energy area is an offshoot of that. Steve Jobs, he's another great inventor, marketeer. I mean, many times you are a very smart inventor, but you don't know how to market it. But this guy was entrepreneur, marketeer, and he was actually, how many of you know about his life history? 1, 2. This guy was born to a lady who was not married, and she had to give him up because the parents wouldn't agree to the marriage with the guy. But she insisted that the parents must be graduates. And the first couple which came, they said, no, we want a girl. So they didn't accept him. The second couple which came, they registered, and he found out, or she found out that they were not graduates, so she refused. About a year later, they wrote to her that we promise you in writing that we will send him to university. So she agreed. So he went to university when he grew up, but he saw that my parents' money, which they have earned over so many years of hard work, is being wasted or is being spent, and I'm not getting as much. So he quit. But he started attending classes which he was very interested in. And then, in his garage, he started with his friend, Alan, started to make some computers. And within 4 years, he was able to create a company of 5,000 people and $4 billion sales. That is Steve Jobs. And then he hired somebody who he thought was very good. So the company became a public company. There were board of directors. And he had this agreement with this guy. He went against him. He convinced the board of directors, and they threw him out. He started the company and they threw him out. And here is a lesson to learn. Do you go and cry, or you go forward? He went forward. He started a company called Pixar, which became the greatest animation company. And Walt Disney became very interested in the company, and they became partners. And he became a director of Walt Disney. Eventually, Walt Disney bought it. He started another company called Next, and they made computers for research and things like that. And from that, Apple on the other side was doing very badly. They were going to go bankrupt. They couldn't create that much after he left. So they bought Next to take their architecture for Macintosh and all. And he went with it. And eventually, first he became advisor, and then he became CEO. And he turned the company around in 2 years from something which was about to disappear to the point where it became the most capitalized company in the world. That is quite an achievement. And then he found that he had cancer. Most people will give up. He was told 6 months, but he lived 13 years. But he eventually had to go. But what he has left behind is tremendous, unbelievable. And I must say it chokes me. Then Gates. I think Bill Gates, if you are enjoying it, otherwise I will terminate faster. Bill Gates is another person who, as a child, was very curious. And he was interested in computers. He learned computers, he learned the basic language. And he bought an ASR-33, I think, which is a teletype kind of thing to attach to the computer. And he did a lot of programming. He created the first game, you can play with the computer. And then through that, he eventually went to Harvard. In fact, he was invited to give a commencement speech to Harvard. He was given an honorary doctorate. And at that time he gave this speech. He said, well, this is commencement, means you're commencing your life, you've graduated. I'm glad you invited me now and not at the start of the course, because the other people are quit too, like me. And then he says, I also take pride in claiming that Ballmer, who became the CEO, Steve Ballmer, he also quit because I told him, forget it, let's go and work. But these guys were special. By studying and learning things, we definitely can go farther ahead. So he created this company. The first thing was, which is called Microsoft. There was a dash between micro and soft. And that was with his friend Paul Allen. After creating this company, he started marketing himself around. And actually IBM was planning to develop this PC. So that PC needed an operating system. So they knew about Bill Gates, they went to him. And Bill Gates said, okay, basic language was the first thing, so he could give, because that was something he had built. Now he suggested some company for operating system, which had an operating system. And that operating system is called Digital Research, and it was CPM operating system. IBM tried to make a deal with them and was unable to make the deal. So they asked Bill Gates, this is the situation, what can you do? He found another company which had QDOS, similar to the DOS switch, and that is Digital Research. So he went to them, made a deal to become their distributor, and told IBM that I have a way to do this. So he created that, he modified the whole thing, created DOS, and that's the story you know. The Microsoft, without a hyphen, became the powerhouse. And then he saw Apple computer with Windows and all. So he's called a copycat. because DOS was somebody else's. He took it, but he's the one who knew how to market it. He saw Windows on Apple, so he decided that we should have. So also he's buying many companies like CRM and many other areas. But the difference between him and many of the Indian rich people is philanthropy. What you have received from society, giving it back, not only in terms of creating bigger businesses, which is fantastic because it creates jobs, but also in terms of returning money, charities, and things like that. And he created this charity with his wife. And if you some people compare the two, Steve Jobs with Bill Gates. Some people say people will forget Steve Jobs in 50 years, but they will not forget Bill Gates because he would have created so much infrastructure for assistance to poor people around the world that they will always remember him. But then others say not true, because Steve Jobs also, it wasn't only for money, it was for technology and benefit of mankind. He one time went to the CEO of Pepsi, John Kelly. He said, do you plan to spend the rest of your life in selling this colored water, Pepsi, or you want to do something more useful by becoming a part of Apple? Very interesting. Because what he meant was, of course, you can make money, Pepsi makes a lot of money, but is not contributing to the health or to any well-being of the nation. So he was also in that direction. So what do we learn from this? Failure is the mother of success. All these guys you saw, what they did initially, they failed, they did second time, and eventually they succeeded and they became really big. If you have a will, there is a way to achieve it. So all you youngsters, once you set up a goal that I want to achieve that, and you sincerely work towards it, you can achieve it. There is no barrier which can stop you, as nobody stopped Dhirubhai Ambani when he had very little money, and he had to find ways to finance all his dreams, and he achieved them. Yes, you need a lot of capability. It doesn't mean that everybody can do it, but then everybody can try it. Always think beyond the envelope. What most people say, this is this, no. Think, I can do more. People tell me, oh, you can't change the government. I say, whether the government changes or not, I am going to try very hard. And I am convinced that one day things will change, even in Canada. Like procurement and all those things are done in a very funny way. And I'm always after the procurement people, the government people. And they know. People tell me, you're wasting your time. I've seen many companies in Canada disappear because of lack of opportunities. And that is because the procurement system is such, the government departments start developing things themselves. And I told them, look, if I developed it, I will find 5 other uses of it. First of all, when you are doing it, you have no budget constraints. If there is more money required, you just put it. Schedule is never met. If I did, you will be on top of me to make sure I don't spend extra penny. You will be on top of me, the schedule is met. And when I make this, I'm sure the first time I'm not going to make much money. So I will find many other uses of it. Where else can I use? I will try to sell it around the world. So the value I can create out of it. So this is the kind of messages which I am trying to convey even in Canada. And here also the procurement system and all, I'm talking to various people. Life is short, live with the greatest dignity. And money is not the only criteria for success. Gandhi didn't have any money. There are many others. Mother Teresa. So there are various ways of success. Whatever way suits you best, try to achieve that way. And remember, this is the message I always want to give to our politicians. You're not going to take this money, huge amounts of money you're collecting. For whom? What is it going to do? You are going to go and it's going to stay here. This is the saddest part. There's a certain amount you need, but beyond that, you are really destroying the future of the nation. Never give up. Always say, can do. And always try to make the change. Then there are people who first try to think how I can make money. And they try to devise various schemes. And there are others who say how I can help, how I can create something valuable. And then the money follows. The first type of people we call really thieves. The second type we call MBAs and engineers and doctors, architects. And that's what we want to be. These are some interesting quotes which, because of lack of time, I will just show them a little bit. You know, the direction in which education starts a man will determine his future. Make the most of yourself, for that is all there is of you. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it. First say yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do to be that. There are no shortcuts, to any place worth going to. If you want to get there, there's no shortcut. You have to work hard for it. You cannot get to the top by sitting on your bottom. Stand up. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant, what they are going to produce for your future. Try not to become only a man of success, but also a man of value. Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, at least you'll be in the stars. Nothing happens unless first a dream. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Always be the first-rate version of yourself instead of being a second-rate version of somebody else. Don't live down to expectations. Go out there and do something remarkable. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Many famous quotes say, take risks if you want to be successful and happy, and I agree. So these are various quotes which are really, if you ponder upon them, you think about them, you get a lot of message out of them. And this was another video which I cannot show because the way it is working here. But it was about goals and how to achieve. Couple of minutes video. And the rest, all I can say is that I hope I have contributed a little bit to your thought of the future, that how you can achieve what you plan to do in your life. Please never give up. And always say, can do. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask, after the slowdown of the world, will it be the right decision for us to leave India and seek opportunities in other countries?
Why leave India, first of all? But, if you are leaving India to learn new things, yes, there's nothing wrong. And, but, don't believe that the opportunities are waiting everywhere else. You have to be very careful before you do that, because I sincerely believe at this time there are more opportunities in India than in most countries. US, if you are outstanding, yes, you can have success in US, Canada. But most of the Europe is really tired of getting new people, unless, again, you are outstanding. If you are outstanding, you are required everywhere. And United States was built on attracting outstanding people. So it is really up to you to think whether you can get great opportunities within India, or it depends on your plan, what you have in mind, and where it can be achieved in the most optimum way.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It was a pleasure listening to you, sir. Sir, my name is Akshay Malik, and I have a question. As Indian economy is developing economy, so what must be done to solve the problem of nepotism in India?
That is a question which we have been asking from our independence. How we can resolve this issue. If the father is... but, this happens all over. But if it is done on the basis of the capability, then it is fine. And I believe, electoral is the only way. We have tried very hard in India through many other ways, like, the AAP party is trying to do. But I think it is the whole population which has to rise. And that is going to take time. We believe also that as the economic conditions improve, like it happened in Western countries also. One time I was told even in Quebec, you could give a policeman $10 if you are caught and get out. That was in 50s. Today you cannot do anything like that. And these things happen as the economic development happens, and people are better off. So I hope it will happen in India also. But I think all of you young people have to make a determination that you are going to work towards it. That's the only way it can happen. Otherwise it will never happen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, it was an honor listening to you, and I am Akshay. So my question is that, sir, Canada, it is economy based on the resources. So whereas India, sir, it is full of young people, young ideas. But sir, people lack investment over here. Means if until and unless a venture capitalist, if he is not getting any returns from you, he is not going to invest. So why not our ideas can be implemented in a country like Canada? It will give recognition to the person in India, and as well will be beneficial for a country like Canada.
You'll be surprised that this is one of the biggest problems in Canada also. And as industrial associations, we are always telling the government that there is not enough venture capital available. There is a hell of a lot more available in the United States. If Canada has to improve in any direction, and that is it, the venture capital availability is very limited. Even in most other countries, United States is one country where the venture capitalists, if they see potential in you, they are ready to bet on you. In Canada, that's not the case. So I don't think that by itself will work. There are certain programs, but they are basically research and development programs and all, for which money is made available by the government, but not for starting businesses as much as you would think that a rich country like Canada should be able to do. US, more.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Srimanta. And so you said you were involved with risk management. So we would like to know how far behind, if at all, is India's risk management sector or department as compared to the rest of the world?
I think as far as risk management, if you're thinking about disaster management?
Sorry, sir, disaster management.
Disaster management. Yeah, disaster management, they're catching up. One of the biggest reasons for natural disasters is nature, weather. And of course, there are others. And earthquake is also, God created. Then there is landslides. We are improving with new technologies. A lot of systems are being implemented in India, but not fast enough. For example, in Mumbai, they have flash floods. Now, the flash floods a few years ago destroyed almost 500 crore worth of things and a lot of people. And we were asked to help. So we have installed some systems, but that is just the rudimentary part. The next stage, which is decision support systems to decide how much rain is going to come in 24 hours, 12 hours, 6 hours, where water is going to collect, where infrastructure needs improvement. Those things are not being done yet, but they are being talked about. And our hope is that they will be implemented. I was supposed to go to Mumbai to give a lecture on that exactly, flash flooding and how to manage it. But I told them, unless the decision makers are going to be there, I cannot make a trip to Mumbai just for that, because I've done the same thing 3 times before. So now, to answer your question, it's not up to the mark, but it is getting there slowly. Cyclone was their biggest success, the last one, which happened. And although people would like to believe that that was great forecasting and all, I personally believe that, yes, the forecasting has improved, but it was also a lot of luck. Because cyclones, you have to track the eye of the cyclone and the wind speed and all that. In fact, IMD has talked to me about it only recently to help them in doing some decision support systems where we can track the eye of the cyclone and the wind speed and where it is going to go. They are also working on flying, in cyclone eye, which is so dangerous to see, flying a plane into it, which United States does and some other countries do, and to measure the parameters so that they can understand these things better and manage them better. So we are also working on that, but these things are happening very slowly, not at a speed where we can be really proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.